Talk. Talk. Talk to me Tuesday. Welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday on a Tuesday. I'm your host, Madi B. And today we're going to have a very special show. I know I say that every show, but today is really going to be a special show because it's going to mark what today's date is. Today's February 1st. Guys, we blinked and we're already here. February. January left us that quickly. But look, every February, the U.S. as well as us and the show honors and contributes and sacrifices of the African Americans who have helped shape the nation. Black History Month starts today, in which we celebrate the rich culture, heritage, triumphs, and adversities that are a part of our country's history. This day is important because it starts Black History Month for us, and it ends all the way up to March 1st. So today we actually have a panel of guests that are motivated individuals that are coming to today's show to talk to us about what Black History Month means to not just them, their family, their household, but their environment and their society as well. So I would love to welcome Lorne Patterson from DMA Associates, PLLC, and Misty Whitfield from DMA Advocates, PLLC. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Marty.
Yes, it's always great to have some new faces on the show and to highlight what certain topics mean. So we are going to have an open and transparent conversation. I know Black History Month is a topic that lately we've been having at our roundtables a little often, right? And it's never too old. It never gets old. So I want to invite you guys to have that transparent conversation with us today and what this month even means to you guys and your surroundings. But first, let's start off by telling us a little bit about yourselves, where you guys are from, and what is it that you guys do?
Awesome. Want to go, Misty?
Sure. I'm Misty Whitfield. I work here at D. Miller and Associates. I'm one of the advocates downstairs for the company. I work tier 1, which is the intake specialist who gets all the information for the attorneys and so forth. I am originally from New Orleans. I was born there. Grew up here in Texas, of course. So I didn't get to experience the whole hurricane thing. But here I am in Houston years later, never been here, love the city, have been here for 10 years now. And I love it. I love everything about the city. I love everything about D. Miller. And I'm just excited to be in front of royalty today.
Thank
you so much.
Well, we're excited to have you, New Orleans. And I know even Texas gets hurricanes. So you're actually not too far off of that. But we're super happy to have you on the show. Lorne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. So again, my name is Lorne Patterson. I'm the Human Resources Administrative Assistant for D. Miller and Associates, PLLC, as you stated earlier. I'm originally from North Carolina, country boy at heart. Moved to Houston, right? Moved to Houston because I wanted some gumbo. I wanted some, good food. I guess I wanted some hot weather too. So I moved out to Texas. But same thing as Missy said, just moved here for a new opportunity. I love the firm that I work for. I love the opportunities and even the kind of trailblazing that we're doing as a firm and as a company. And again, just being on the show is definitely a blessing because we get to be a part of something new.
Yeah, look, and you guys not only are influencing your colleagues around you, but even the people around you. And I think it's amazing to have people like yourselves with just such a pure heart on what this means to you guys. So we're really going to talk about it. We're excited for today's show and the kickoff of Black History Month. We celebrate it. There's other people, channels, media that also celebrate it. I know certain sports celebrate it. So it's something that's celebrated around our community, and we want to keep that energy going. So I want to kind of start off, Lorne, I'm going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about why this month is important to you.
First and foremost, I know we talk about picking and choosing, different groups that we're in and, what type of social organizations we might be able to join. I am African American every day, so I enjoy Black History Month because it not only reinforces who I am 365 days a year, but it gives me an opportunity to really learn something new about individuals who paved the way for me, who even gave me an opportunity to sit in a professional seat, work at a law firm. Again, I think it's so important and I think it's so needed because sometimes you don't even know how far you can go if you don't know where others have gone before you. So I think it's so important.
Wow, that's very impactful. I love that quote. We might have to take that and put it somewhere because it was deep. But Misty, now I want you to tell us why this month is important to you.
It's important to me, same as Lorne, because I love my Blackness. I love it to the core of me. Always have. It's always been around me since I was a kid. Not only then, but now too. And it allows me to express that freely. And it also allows me to teach those who don't know about it. And I just love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I love it too. I'm just going to tell you right now. And look, you guys are bringing two amazing perspectives from you guys were raised and born in different areas of the United States. We have a male, a female. I really want to tap into how your perspective is and how it may be different from a woman, a male, vice versa. We can learn from just each other. Just this panel alone can learn from each other. And I think that is just impactful. So look, I want to ask you guys, because you guys come from different areas of, where you guys grew up, but growing up, tell us how important it was for you to learn, not you, but maybe your parents as well. Maybe it started a little bit later down the line, and how important it was for you to learn and know about Black History Month.
So you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
So for me, and I know me and Misty, we've had plenty of conversations about this. I grew up in Virginia. I'm originally from North Carolina, but growing up on the East Coast and Southeastern Virginia, you have a different kind of outlook on African-American history, African-American contributions, because slave trade, the triangular route. A lot of people really don't understand the Middle Passage. They don't understand about the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. So for me, I didn't just get the mom and dad conversation about Black History Month. I didn't just get the Malcolm X conversation or just the Martin Luther King conversation. I got introduced to so many different people because there were so many different opportunities to have the conversation. And I think that for me, it just kind of resonated with me every day because I could grow up around people who were hearing about new African-American influencers and other historical figures. So it just really reminded me how important it was to not only remind myself about this month, but have the conversation to remind other people in the areas that I'm from and even places that I visit. It's definitely important to keep the conversation going.
Yes. Misty, tell us a little bit about why it's important for you as far as growing up to learn about Black History Month. And you were a little bit south, right? Texas,
yeah.
New Orleans. Tell us how that was either the same or different from Lorne's experience.
Well, actually, with me growing up in the South, it's always been around. Never really understood it until I got a little bit older. I didn't have the talks with the family and stuff like that. But as I gradually got older and I started learning more, that's when I became more aware. And I'm a big history. I love history, period. So learning about not just what we learn in school, but specifically these different cultures, it's a big thing for me because I'm learning how these people paved the way for us now. In school, of course, they teach you the basics, Christopher Columbus and all that. Of course, we learned about the guy who made peanut butter, which was also a Black man. But they never went into detail on things that they did and how they represented and what they did for us. And I took the initiative to go further. I want to know what they were thinking at that time. How did they come up with this idea? You know what I mean? It's very pleasing to me to know, and to share this with others is even a bigger thing for me, because a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't. I didn't know for a long time. So I would like to, share with others, not only my experiences, but what Lorne or anyone else have been through with this whole situation.
Yeah, look, I think you guys bring great points. And I kind of want to touch, Misty, what you were just saying. I love that you went deeper, because sometimes you can see some of the things they had to overcome. Being an African American male or female, they probably didn't have their little pathway that easy. And hearing the obstacles they had to go and barriers they had to break is very, very important too. And Lorne, what you were saying, I love that the type of knowledge of history you have from growing up in the Virginia area. They have, first of all, amazing African American museums and art. Amazing, first of all.
Yes.
But I would love to have you guys also maybe on another show to talk more about the things that maybe people have not heard about, and things that maybe people are like, what did he just say? It's normal. There's not everyone knows everything, right?
Correct.
And knowledge is power. So I think that would be amazing. And look, it's important. And y'all's upbringing was different on historic figures and what you guys learned. And so I think that is why we're here, right? To start, like Misty, going deeper into what some of these stories are. So let me ask you this next question, because I think it's super important. Why is it important to educate our youth? Not just our youth, but our adults too. Misty, you just said you're still learning right now some of these stories. So why is it important to you guys to know more about the culture, Black History Month, and some of our African Americans, where they came from, right? They come from Africa, South America. Tell me what your thoughts are on the importance here.
Well, with me, the importance for me is knowing my heritage. I didn't grow up knowing that I had ancestors from Africa, or I never grew up knowing that, I'm not fully Black. I have Native American heritage as well. So stuff like that, it's very appealing to me. It allows me to explore even more and learn. And if I could just touch one person or give that knowledge to someone who didn't know, maybe, you'll never know how far it goes until you try. So that's why I just dive in and I learn. Yes. Because, I don't know, and I'm eager to learn. That's been me pretty much all of my life. I'm very eager to learn. I want to know. I want to know what drove them to do what they did. I want to know what they went through, if they got kicked out or if they were done wrong or somebody took their ideas, something like that. I want to know. And I would think everybody else would like to know too. And I don't mind sharing it. I love it. Wish I could do it more.
Well, your guys are starting on the right foot. Now, Lorne, I want to ask you for a piece of advice here. Okay. Some of these stories and historic figures come with, once you dive deeper, some of the stories and the struggles that they went through are sad. Yes. Some of the things they had to face is sad. I can tell you off of experience, I don't like reading some of these stories because they hurt my heart. Like, I'm in tears on some of the things that some people went through or how cruel other people could be. Okay. What is some advice that you would give? Not all history is going to be sad. Some of it is happy. Some of it is like, wow, they literally broke ceilings. But for the sad ones, stories or the really deep history ones, what is some advice that you would give for someone that wants to know more, but it just hurts and breaks their heart?
Madi, I think that's a really good question. And to, again, be transparent about my particular journey into my heritage and learning, I did take an African-American studies class for my associate's degree because, as you stated earlier, I feel like I was fortunate enough to grow up in an area where the conversation of African American accomplishments was prevalent. Again, maybe that did have a lot to do with, colonialism and, settlers kind of having that impact on the area. So I think for me, when I took the class, I read a book called 12 Years of a Slave. And so they turned it into a movie. But I think when you read the literature against the kind of cinematography or the movies, I think you really learn the finer details as Misty kind of was discussing. And so sometimes it can be heart-wrenching, to know that people were raped, by their slave owners. Some people were sold and separated from their families. We hear the time-old, ageless story of Harriet Tubman all the time. We've seen the movie, right? But I would encourage anyone that if you are wanting that kind of next layer or next level of wisdom when it comes to your heritage, really just go into it with an open mind. I think with a lot of experiences, we expect the worst, hope for the best. And I think that if you kind of keep that mindset when you're going into history, also understanding that there were not as many laws in place to protect civil liberties yet. There was no such thing as ethical codes. There was no labor laws. People were against slaves versus indentured servants. So I know that it's a tough conversation. I know that it's a tough read, but I think that if people remind themselves that the only thing you will get out of this is more knowledge, the only thing you will get from this is more power, it might be tough, but the end result is that you're now more in tune with where you come from. Misty touched on it earlier. I went through a great part of my life not knowing that I was Jamaican until I got older, and I know that most people from the Caribbean islands, they're very big on heritage. They're very big on culture. So it's some sketchy parts and some sad parts of the story, but you just have to remind yourself the bigger picture, the bigger goal is the knowledge, the power that comes with it.
Yeah. And look, I would have to say, in order for history to not repeat itself, it's good for you to know more about it.
Yes.
If you don't know more about it and you are a different race, it's okay to learn about it, right? I think in the last 2 years, there's more people that are wanting to know, tell me more.
Yes.
I want to know, I want to understand. And they may not understand, but they're trying. And I think that's huge. And look, I'm going to say it's okay to cry. It's okay to read these stories and feel like it's attacking you, right? Because first of all, it says that you have a heart and you have some type of emotion, right?
Yes.
But that's an emotion and it's okay. It's okay for you guys to visit that. And maybe you have to do it privately, or maybe you need to do it with someone else, and that is okay. At least you're starting and uncovering those layers. So I think that's important. We do have a few comments that I want you guys to know how the show is going. So we have one comment from Chriselle saying, this is such an important topic, and I appreciate you sharing your perspectives. I am proud that you have taken it upon yourself to know and learn. Knowledge is power. What has been your favorite thing to learn?
Oh, goodness. So much. For instance, like what I posted today, Shirley Chisholm. I never knew she was one of the first African-American women in Congress, or even let alone in a courtroom or anything like that. I never knew until I took the time to look it up, to read about her, to see everything that she had gone through from start to end. I read everything. There's even little clips from where she was in. She was treated so badly, but she stuck in there and she hung with it. And now look at us today. There's Black people in Congress. There's Black people in the White House. We have Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
There's so many things that I don't know that I'm wanting to learn. And, this month allows me to do that. Any other month, but solely this month. It allows me to do that. It allows me to express myself freely. I really enjoy it. I hope everyone enjoys it. I love the experience, and I hope you will too.
Yeah. Look, we have some people are enjoying it right now. We have another comment. Jennifer saying, great job, Lorne and Misty. So proud of you guys. Look, what you guys are doing is amazing, and we haven't even scratched the surface. That's what's crazy. So look, I want to ask you guys, and we kind of already heard, but when did you really take the initiative to learn more about Black History Month and celebrate it? Some people will say, I was today years old, right? You guys have seen that before. And I know that's not applicable to you guys, but like, do you remember the age where you took this month seriously? Like Misty, like you just said, it's almost like you're fasting in the historic area of African-American culture. Do you remember your age and when you took this initiative?
Yes, ma'am. I was probably about, I want to say about 10 or 11. Of course, I know about Martin Luther King and all that. We've always celebrated June 19th every year since I was a kid. Never did really understand why until I started going to school and learning. But of course, they only teach you just a little bit. So as I got older, I gradually started looking up things, getting online, reading books, trying to figure out, everything that's going on and trying to figure out what people did back then to pave the way for me today. So, I love it. I enjoy it. Man, I'm just speechless.
The internet is powerful, guys. Now everything's at our fingertips.
Yes, it is.
So, Lorne, I want to ask you the same question. If you remember the age to where you took the initiative to learn more, educate others, and celebrate it.
Thinking while Misty was talking. So, and again, I think in my household, I want to say, Madi, I feel like I'm thinking I was in elementary school. I can't remember the specific age. I just remember there was a time period where I believe I was in the 3rd grade because I did a live presentation of Nat Turner. We had to pick a famous African-American leader that we wanted to represent. If my mom is watching this, she's probably going to laugh. She told me to pick Nat Turner so she can make the sword. And I was like, I'm in 3rd grade walking around with a sword. But again, he was a recognized abolitionist, and again, Madi, we talked about it earlier. All parts of African-American history are not roses, they're not flowers. And so he was recognized because he did slaughter, slave owners and people within the military that were oppressing African-Americans at that time. And so I was in the 3rd grade and I just remember having this feeling like there were people who became famous for protecting other people when they could not be protected of themselves. And so that's really what made me a champion, not only to African-American, rights and African-American accomplishments, but Black History Month. Every chance I get now, it's like, hey, y'all, go look up somebody different. We always hear about Martin Luther King. We always hear about Malcolm X, and it's absolutely nothing wrong with continuously celebrating the same people, right? However, W.E.B. Du Bois, Thurgood Marshall, the list runs on, George Washington Carver. There are hundreds of people that we can name. Let's talk about them too. Let's celebrate their accomplishments. And I think it was in 3rd grade. That's kind of when it hit me.
Okay, awesome. Well, look, share with us in the comment section the age that you guys remember. And if it's today, that's okay. That's fine. At least we're starting. That's part of the, being aware of certain things. So I definitely want to see the age range in which you started to learn more and took it seriously on the history of African Americans. Now, Misty, I want to ask you in particularly, tell me something. I heard you're doing a project with your colleagues, right? So I want you to tell those that are watching, what are you doing to ensure that your colleagues, your peers at the job that you're at around you are getting educated on Black History Month?
Sure. So we are doing a Black History Month thing here. Of course, with touches from Madi. Love it. The banners are wonderful. It allows me not only to put the picture of the person, but a fun fact about him. And we also have some good things for our coworkers and peers and stuff that's going to happen in regards to it. Raffles and stuff like that. It's going to be epic. I know I've been doing this for the last 2 years since I've been here, going on 3 years. And it just allows me to express it. I'm sharing this, and my coworkers, they love it. They love it because it may be things that they don't know. I know, like I said earlier, Shirley Chisholm is one of them. Thurgood Marshall, he's another one that was in, the whole legal world, Congress and stuff like that. So, I like to put those up to educate not only myself, but those around me, because like I said, no one probably knew. And the fact that they're learning today is even more awesome. I love the fact that they're taking the time to review it and to see what I see and to learn what I have learned.
Wow. So you took it upon yourself to pick certain individuals, historic figures in the African American culture, and you say, I'm going to do the research and I'm going to share it with my colleagues so they can read too, and we all learn. That's what you started 2 years ago. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Genius. It's genius because look, even though you want to go deeper, it's also having your peers go deeper with you. And it's almost like we are all holding hands together and doing it as a group. And I think that is beautiful. For those of you guys that are watching, feel empowered, feel encouraged to do something like this where you're at, or even in your household. I think knowledge is power, and this is great to educate each other. Now, Lorne, you're more on the HR side, right? So I want you to tell us a little bit about how the employees in the company you work for are reacting towards this and are gravitating to it with their excitement.
I think it's something that, again, we celebrate Black History Month every February. It's no secret, right? But I think that we've taken an opportunity to take what Misty has done, partner with her, and just kind of innovate it a little bit, bring something different. Misty did share that we'll be doing contests, we'll be doing raffles. And I think that they're already excited about the new knowledge, seeing new people, seeing some new names. Again, there are hundreds of people, but Misty picking these people, picking the facts, they're eye-catching facts. And so people are like, I didn't know Shirley Chisholm did that. I didn't know that Thurgood, so for me, I get excited because I see other people's excitement. I see their responses in the Skype. I see their responses in their conversations in the hallway. And for me, I'm especially excited because when people know they're going to win some money, right? They get a little excited, but I think it's just kind of like the adrenaline of, oh my God, let me go back and look and see who was this person so I can win. Let me go look and see who was announced on this day so I can win. And I feel like it just incentivizes people to not only learn, but then they'll internalize it and they won't forget it. And so in March, they'll be like, man, Shirley Chisholm was on day one. In June, man, Shirley Chisholm was that's what we want. We want people to not just remember for Black History Month, but remember 365 days a year.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I think it's amazing. There's a lot of African-American historic individuals, whether they're icons, whether they're walking around next to us. There's so many. Misty, you just mentioned the guy that did the peanut butter. There's just so many people. So Misty, I have to, first of all, thank you for doing amazing work with your peers and colleagues, because you're almost bringing the education to your workforce. Yes. You're bringing what we learn in maybe school that maybe some others did not learn in school or college. We're bringing it to their desks. And I think that's amazing. But I have to ask you, where do you get the individuals that you highlight every day is a different individual? So that's a lot of individuals, right? But what did you do to pick the individuals every day, new, old, recent, old, what was your thought process on that?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm going to piggyback off of what Lorne said. We could do the ones that we know that we've learned about pretty much all of our lives. So, I took the initiative to, like you said, go deeper. I went deeper and I actually read up on these people before I even posted them. Something that was appealing to my eye and something that I didn't know. And I thought, hey, look, I'll share this with my colleagues. I hope they like it. And for the last 2 years, I've gotten great responses from it. They love what I'm doing. like I said, I'm educating those who don't know. And I would like for them to learn more with each person that I post on there. So that's the reason for me doing it. I wish to do it even more often years to come. But I love what we're doing today. I love it.
Nice. And look, I have to, ask you guys if you had two people, Lorne, you have one and Misty had one, just naming a name, okay? Because I don't want you guys to spill the beans for today's barely the first, right? But if you had to name one person that you want our viewers, myself, those that are watching, to do a little bit of a deeper dive, what name would you say so we could write it down and go do our research?
I love Marian Anderson. I have researched her since I was a kid. She is one of the first, I believe she's one of the first contraltos to actually get a chance to do the national anthem as an African-American woman. She was one of the first people to really kind of break into the operatic industry as an African-American woman. Again, we know that certain cultural groups come with certain gifts and talents, right? We know that some people are good sports players, some people are good artistic people, but I don't think we always recognize the barriers that people have to overcome to even demonstrate their gifts and talents. So again, for me, I've always championed for her. So if anybody has any time today, go look her up. Let's get those Google hits up on Marian Anderson. Because again, you see, your Tony Braxtons and you see, some of your famous current people, but even before, the LaBelles, Patti LaBelle, anybody, there were women who were pioneering music industry records and breaking down barriers years before that. So I want to make sure she does not get lost in the shuffle. And I would love for people to look up Marian Anderson.
Marian Anderson. We're going to write it in the comment section so you guys could copy paste and go straight to Google and look her up. Now, Misty, I want to ask you the same thing, but if you had to pick someone that's not commonly heard, like Lorne just did, who would you pick?
Let's see. There's so many.
Don't give away the winner.
There is.
Don't give away the winner.
Mahalia, I think I'm saying her name right, Jackson. She did music. Man, powerful voice. Very outgoing woman. Went through a lot of trials and tribulations, especially being Black, being in the music industry. It was really hard. They didn't allow us, to perform in front of who we perform in front of today. It was either Blacks for these amount of days, and then the rest were, white. It was either Black or white. And we only had a certain amount of days to perform or to do what we're doing. And she is one of the people, I love her music. She empowers me so much. She shows me that not to give up, to keep going, no matter what you go through, no matter how many hurdles you have to jump over. Eventually, your goal is to get to the finish line. So, once you follow that and keep going, you'll make it to the end. It may get on your nerves or it may make you mad. So many obstacles in your way. And then, boom, you're at the end. You're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Well, now you know. These people paved the way for us to do this. Without them, we would probably be lost and not knowing what to do and probably doing God knows what, but we've learned and we need to instill this not only in us, but in our children too.
Yeah, agreed. I agree with that. Repeat her name one more time so we could put it in the comment section.
Mahalia Jackson.
Perfect. So again, y'all could copy paste, go to Google. We got you guys. So I think, look, that's amazing because you're kind of not only doing it with your colleagues, but also for those that are watching, the educators that are out there watching as well. And I think this next question may resonate for our educators that are watching. Now, I have to ask both of you guys, do you think that this month is highlighted enough across the United States? What is your thoughts?
My
honest
answer,
thoughts, right?
my answer would be in some parts, yes, and in some parts, no, because I do have friends up north who know nothing about June 19th or why it's celebrated. They don't know. They were never taught that. Of course, they probably heard it in school, but they never took the initiative to dig a little bit deeper on why we do celebrate that day. You know, as long as I can remember, we've celebrated that here in Texas. When I moved from New Orleans, of course, we celebrate it all the time. But in Texas, you know, for it to be predominantly white at the time, it was really hard for some people. But now there's all types of cultures here. And, you know, it's just wonderful seeing people celebrate this day or even this month. It allows them to express themselves freely without, you know, getting in trouble and stuff like that. So, you know, I love it. If I could have it pretty much every day, I probably would.
And you can make it every day. It doesn't have to be put in stone. You can make it every day. And look, I want to ask the same thing to you, Lorne. Do you think it's highlighted enough? Black History Month, we're talking about historic figures, African American. Do you think it's highlighted enough across the United States?
I'm gonna steal your answer, Misty. I think in certain places, yes. I think in others, not so much. And I think Misty kind of just tackled it head on. I think it depends on the demographic group who is the majority in the area. Again, I'm originally from North Carolina. It is predominantly African American and Native American. There's more conversation around the Declaration of Independence. Juneteenth was not a prevalent conversation. So I've learned that here. But when you talk about, again, the Declaration of Independence, the Gettysburg Address, you start talking about, again, slave trade. It's just more relevant, I guess, in Virginia or maybe where I'm from, because we've had more, I guess, pioneering people to kind of come through that area. So for me, I grew up in the area, yes, but again, moving to Texas, I didn't hear the same conversations. You know, I didn't hear people talking about, you know, the Constitution and understanding the preamble and how it infused into slavery and freedom. So I think that we can definitely be honest and say there is still room to grow. We still have a lot more to conquer, a lot more to overcome, because until the conversation is completely, I would say, understood across the board. And like you said, Madi, yourself, it's not so much just about race, you know, but everyone as a group of humans needs to really understand the impact of Black History Month and why it's so important.
Yeah, and I think, look, it starts with us. We can definitely, little by little, get that train going. So I think that's important that we kind of apply ourselves. Now, I want to ask you guys, you know, Black History Month during certain either elementary school, middle school, high school, college, for some people didn't make it all the way, and even in their adulthood life. So for you guys, did you guys notice that Black History Month stopped in a certain era or time in your life to where it wasn't as present, it wasn't as talked about, and your day-to-day life just kept it moving? Did you guys notice that, or has it always been present in your life and society?
With me growing up, it never really was talked about. Like I said, I didn't learn too much until I started going to school. And then when I started hearing more things about what Black people did back then and who was the first doing this, it made me think, you know, what did they do? How did they get here? What am I going to do moving forward? It was never really talked about, but now that I have grown and I've learned and still learning, it allows me to learn more about not just the bad things that happen, but some of the good things that have happened. And a lot of it is not always bad. It is really good in the outcome, even though they may have lost their lives or, you know, something happened bad. Today, I can say they paved the way for me, because I don't think I would be in the position that I am today without them.
Beautiful. Lorne.
I think about the African American Museum that's in Washington, D.C. Before I relocated to Houston, I had the opportunity to go, and I will tell anybody that will listen to me, go, because the way the tour is set up, it explains from slavery all the way to current times, right? And so I was fortunate enough, as Misty even stated herself, she wasn't. I did see African American history pretty much from first grade all the way up into pretty much college. And so I had an opportunity to start comparing information, comparing knowledge, because as I got older, I could remember, oh, well, you guys only talked about Dr. Martin Luther King with the March on Washington or the Million Man March, right? But as I got older, I started to learn more about him as a pastor, as a mentor, as an education, as an advocate person. So I think the museum that I went to, it really has a somber feel when you start, because it's literally giving you depictions of the slave trade boats and how slaves were compacted in these small spaces, probably no bigger than a chute, like a box. And so they had to travel thousands of miles over water. And I think that I'm able to pull from knowledge as a child and as an adult, which I think has helped me just so much over the years, finding out who I am and helping other people too.
Look, I think this is great. Just with you guys alone in that room, you guys have different historic time frames, different historic experiences, and how you've applied yourself. So look, that we're all made up of that. All of you guys that are watching could look like that, or maybe have had zero or have had too much, right? So that's okay. This is a prime example of that. Just across different areas of where you live, it just looks different. So look, I want to ask you guys if what is something that you want your colleagues or even the people that are watching right now to learn and take away from this project that you guys are doing and take away from this month? What is something you want them to either apply or take away?
I would just say, and it's probably gonna sound like a broken record, do the research, because you just don't know how much of a connection to history you have individually. Again, learning about different advocates, politicians, military people, singers, artists. As an African American, we weren't necessarily given textbooks on our history when we were coming up over the last 30, 40 years. So now it's our responsibility to make sure that we do the work and we do our due diligence and create the literature. But we can create something that you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know the history, you don't have the knowledge. So I want everybody that's watching, that's listening, that knows somebody that's watching, that was told about this show, that's told about our project at work, make this a priority. And it's not because, it's Black History Month, we're supposed to celebrate for Black History Month. Make it a priority, because you don't know what you can learn about a historical figure that might have been deceased or still alive that could actually help you find out who you are, help you learn more about what you're interested in, what direction you're going in life.
Yeah, but I think that's amazing. And look, my next point here, I'm going to direct this one to Misty, but you're right. Black History Month could be history from the 1900s, the 2000s, even from yesterday. Yesterday's already history, right? So history's made every day, every minute, every hour, every single day. So look, Misty, what do you guys think is history? Is it just from a book that you read? Or can history also come from someone from, this generation? Or do they have to be famous? Or can they just be a regular Joe Schmo? Tell us what that means to you in this month.
Yes, ma'am. No, it doesn't have to be, someone from back then. I would really like to talk about those today, because without those from back then, they wouldn't be here today, and they are paving the way for our children later on in the future. So, Mary J. Blige is one of my favorite artists. I love her music. Phenomenal woman. Just phenomenal. She's amazing, has a great heart. I did my research on her, but it was not easy for her. It was not easy. She went through a lot, I believe miscarriages and relationships and people messing her out of deals and finding the right managers and stuff like that. She went through a lot, but for her to be here today at the age she is and still, inspiring others to do, what they want to do, right? I mean,
Mhm.
the sky's the limit. It's up to you to take it and run with it. So, I mean, for me, I would like people at home, people here at work, embrace it. It's not just about Black Heritage Month or Black Lives Matter or anything. It's about everyone, because there are some people within the Black History Month that are celebrated that aren't even Black, but they did pave the way for us. So just embrace it. If you feel like you want to share it, share it. I mean, some people will like it, some people won't. Some people are stuck in the old ways. A lot of us aren't. We're not seeing black and white anymore. I see the whole picture in color. So, if it's one thing I would like for people to take away from this, just embrace it. Like Lorne said, have an open mind. Do the research. And if you feel like it's helping you, then share that.
Yeah.
I mean,
look, I love that. I love that. You even said something very influential there. It may be someone from a different race that literally opened the door for an African American historic figure, right? And so that's what it is all of us coming together as one unit. So I love that you said that. Lorne, I'm going to piggyback off of what Misty said and ask you this next question.
Okay.
Do you think social media, us, or even influencers have an influence in our world today for movement celebrations this month? Tell us what you think about the now.
I wholeheartedly believe that social media has impacted us in a positive way. I think social media has so many opportunities. When it can go negative, it can get a little sour, but I think we found a way to funnel that positive energy through social media, whether it's doing reels, whether it's doing, different contests on Facebook, Instagram. The sky, like Missy said, is the limit, right? But I also am just so excited to see how we've been able to just elevate the conversation. It's no longer just a phone call. Now you're getting graphics done. You're getting, like Missy said earlier, we got banners, we got the bells and whistles. And so now you no longer just get to celebrate it, but you get to make it look good while you celebrate it. And so I think social media has definitely done its part because, again, we've seen social media go left, but I think social media has done its part, and it's also bridging the gap, like you said, Madi, where some people may not have ever heard about a George Washington Carver and peanut butter. They might have never heard about a Madam C.J. Walker. But now on social media, you get to see it left and right. Every time you scroll, you see it. So I think it's been for the better.
Yeah, for sure. And shout out and kudos to the marketing department, graphics designer who's helping you guys elevate this project to another level. And look, social media could be amazing and it could go, like you said, Lorne, real left. So look, I will advise to those that are watching just to be very careful, because sometimes you're probably not meaning harm and it could come out disrespectful, or certain things may be rude in a way just by not knowing enough, okay, or not knowing about the history. I think that's also important, because also very innocent people are like, hey, I'm supporting, or maybe they don't know, right? And it does come off wrong. So just being very careful and mindful of what your reels and content and all of that does to those that are watching. I think that's very important too. So look, I'm going to ask you, there's the history part we talked about. Then there's the artistry part, right? Singers, artists, like actual drawing and painters, what's it called? Plays. You have so many artists. What are some artists that you find influential? That could be in any line of work. It could be someone that we see on our TV right now, or someone we saw in our TV back in the day. Name one person, just one. I know there's 18,000, if not more. But if you had to name one, who would you name?
Tyler Perry.
Oh,
The Medea.
that's a good one.
I love Tyler Perry films. I mean, he started by selling, videos out the back of his trunk of his car. Nobody never knew this. This man was homeless for a while, and he was living out of his car in motel rooms, and he was selling these videos out the back of his trunk of his car, and a lot of people don't know that. And now look at where he is today, almost a billionaire. He took the TV world by storm. He makes plays. He's done TV shows and even big movies. And hey, it may inspire me to do something like that. It actually has a little bit. I actually have. I applied for a writing internship. It's out of California, but they do some stuff online. I actually applied for that, and they sent me some great information. So, like I said, sky's the limit. Whatever you're willing to learn it. Take what you've got, share it so other people can learn and maybe do it better than you did.
Yeah. Lorne, you're next. But to comment on Tyler Perry, I think that's great because A, he's a great actor. B, he has paved the way for other African-American actors and actresses. And C, his storyline in a way is also saying a little bit about our African-American culture, right? It's making those people that are watching those movies a little bit more woke in regards to that topic. And wow, that is a three-prong approach that is untouchable. Love that one. So now, Lorne, you got to hit it with the bang on this one. So who do you find is influential?
Misty making it hard. Okay, so I would say, and this might be kind of foreign to some, but Martin Lawrence. I think that most of us know him as just a comedian, right? He's funny. He had the TV show, but I watched a Def Jam comedy special one time, and it was their 25th reunion, and he basically was in the audience, and everyone that he had put on, everybody that he had referred, they came out, did their skit, and then they gave him kudos, gave him praises. A lot of them were old heads in the game, and they were just like, y'all don't even recognize, I wouldn't be on the stage if it wasn't for Martin Lawrence. And so they started playing old clips of Def Jam comedy specials. He was performing, other people were performing. But I think for me, he is so impactful because anytime you can make an accomplishment and you can pay it forward, or you can reach back and pull somebody else up with you, you win. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's the end. You making money is good, but helping someone else get ahead, that's the goal.
Yeah, look, you guys picked great people. There's so many others that have paved the way. You guys may know of a few: Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Beyonce. There's so many, and that's just literally not even scratching the surface. So a lot of amazing, influential artists that we all that are watching right now have seen and get inspired. So speaking of artists, this is what we're going to kind of end it with, because look, we're very close. In 2 weeks is Super Bowl. So look, they have a good halftime performance show. And this time, I don't know if they've done this before in history, but they have a group of people. Instead of it being just one person, it's a group of people. Those artists that are influential in our community and in the music world. Majority of these are iconic African-American. How do you feel about this lineup? We're talking about Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, Misty, I already know how you feel. Lamar, Dr. Dre, amazing. So how do y'all feel about this lineup?
And I love it. It's gonna be epic. I mean, to see all of them together. I know Eminem probably hasn't been in the game as long as Mary J. and Dr. Dre. Kendrick Lamar, I know he's one of the newbies coming into the game. I know he's probably been making mixtapes for years, but right. They're new to the game. And to see the old with the new is amazing, because before then it was just either just this one genre. And like you said, just one person performing. Now we have all these amazing, iconic people together, and we get to not only hear what they love or the type of music they love and stuff like that. We get to hear the rap people of the game and what they brought to the table. I know Dr. Dre is one of those people who paved the way for most rappers. I know him, Ice Cube, I guess the NWA crew. They went through a lot, growing up. They started off as kids too, and look at where they are today. Influential, laying out that platform for others so they can come up and do the same for those they bring into the game as well.
Yeah, well said. Lorne, what do you think, and how do you feel about the halftime performance at the Super Bowl this year?
I think it's something, like you said, we've probably never seen before. We've seen Super Bowls with more than one performer, but again, to have this caliber of performers on this stage together. And I think even if you break it down, like Missy was talking about, as far as like the rap industry, you always hear about beef, East Coast versus West Coast, Northern Cal versus Southern Cal. Like you hear all these issues, but to see that people are like, hey, we're going to come together, we're going to make good music, make a good moment. And during Black History Month, you have to really just kind of tip your hat to the situation and go, this is a moment. These people are making a legacy, they're making history, and I'm just glad to be here to see it.
Yeah, same, all of us. And look, our next show is gonna be reflecting on Super Bowl. So you guys need to stay tuned, be on the lookout for that show, and come and be with us. And so that way we can get y'all's opinion. Look, guys, we're at the end of the show, and I just want to thank you guys both for many things. Number one, for having a transparent conversation with me and talking about something that needs to be talked about. Number two, for making a difference in our world with your colleagues, your family. I think this is amazing. And for number three, dedicating yourself to the Black History Month and taking it deeper for yourselves, for us, for all of us to really learn more. So I am honored to have both of you guys on the show, and I just can't thank you enough for being here today.
Thank you, Madi.
Yes, it's a pleasure. So I want to thank all of you guys who are watching today, and it starts with you guys. Share this video. The more we share it, the more we can educate other people as well in regards to the topic that starts today, which is Black History Month. And let's celebrate it. Let's celebrate it for the whole month of February, all the way until March 1st. Do little things around in your community that are giving back, that are honoring, and that are reflecting to what this month means to us, to you, to our family. Let's take our little roles that we have and dedicate ourselves, because we can make a difference around us. I want to thank all of you guys for watching today's show. I want to thank you guys for sharing it, and most importantly, for being here every Tuesday on a Tuesday with your host, Madi B. Until next time. Bye.